Hi, Merry Christmas. I'm here today to obviously read some more seasonal books because that's a thing I do apparently. But yes, this is just a very quick little intro. I haven't picked up any of the books yet. I haven't actually even decided some of the books I'm going to read yet. I just know one definitely so far. So yes, but I will be picking up 2 to 3 Christmas books in this reading vlog and just having a fun, dandy seasonal time. I don't think this will be as decorated as the Halloween vlog purely because we are lacking in decorations. We're still building up the seasonal things. So if I find a good way to make this more themed, I will. If I can't, forgive me for that. But yes, like I said, it'll only be 2 to 3 books this time around. I don't know of too many Christmas books, so I don't want to read every Christmas book I know of this year and then have nothing for next year. So that is why it's going to be a bit more minimal. And also with Christmas books, getting them from the library is just kind of iffy because you need to borrow it or put it on hold far enough into November so that you can get them in a decent time frame in December. But also most of that, like, it's weird because everyone borrows them at once, so it's like a 12-week wait, so you only get them in like February, which you don't want to read Christmas books in February. But then if I borrow them now, I have to listen to them now, and today it's actually still early November. I want to start reading them more so in mid-November, just so that I have enough time to do everything and make sure that I have them. But yes, I am excited. Again, I will try and make this themey for you, but I will come back once I'm starting the first book, which I know which that one's gonna be, and I'm very, very excited for that one. I've been waiting 11 months to read this book, so I'm excited, and I will see you once I start it. And I'm not gonna tell you what books I'm reading until it's time, because we love surprises. It's like an advent calendar, but with books, and just on Christmas, so not at all like an advent calendar. Yeah. Hi, welcome. Today we're starting the first Christmas book for this fun little festive vlog, and a little bit of an intro. I am so excited to read this book. I have waited all year to read this. This is actually a book in a series that I finished in about January, February, and this is a little novella between them that I decided to keep for Christmas instead of reading it back then because one, I just didn't feel like reading the novella and it wasn't very pertinent to continuing the actual plot. And second of all, the book is about celebrating winter solstice, which is this world's version of Christmas essentially. So I was like, this will be perfect because in a year's time I can get back into the world that I love so much, as well as the fact that it's themed for their Christmas, so it is festive. It's the perfect December read. So what book is that, you might be thinking? You probably know, but it is A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. So this is book technically 3.5, but I just call it book 4 in the ACOTAR series. And this comes between A Court of Wings and Ruins and A Court of Silver Flames. This is just a short little novella. As you can see, it's 229 pages. It's very short, and it's just about all the characters celebrating their winter solstice, which is their version of Christmas or whatever other winter holidays there might be. I think it might be closest to Christmas though because it's just over one day. But point is, when I was reading ACOTAR, when it got to this book, I just didn't feel like reading 300 pages of fluff, because that's essentially what this is. I just wanted to go straight into Silver Flames because at that point I'd been reading ACOTAR for a month, and as much as I loved the world, I'd also just grown a bit fatigued by it. I loved the series, but I also just needed to get out of the ACOTAR world, and I didn't want to stop reading the series because I was convinced that I had to read a series back to back to back or else I'd hate it, which I have now learned is not the case, and I can take breaks. So that's nice. I decided to leave this for Christmas because it is essentially a Christmas book. I thought it would be fun to treat myself as a little Christmas gift to be back in this world that I love so much, which I have already started this, and it was a good decision on my part to save this for Christmas because it is just so fun being back in this world. I literally have not picked up any of these books since I finished them in late January, early February. The one thing too that's really amazing about this book is there is so much plot catch up. Every single chapter has a part of a summary of something that happened in the first 3 books. So if you read the original trilogy, wait a little bit, pick this up, this catches you up on everything that happened, which is really nice because I remember a lot of the plot because I knew so much of the plot before even reading the books, and then I read them. So a lot of the plot I do still remember very well, especially compared to other books. However, it is just nice having a little reminder. Like, I would rather have reminders that I don't need than not have reminders that I do. So this is just really nice to read because it is also kind of just, for me, I didn't really like A Court of Silver Flames that much, and like I said, by the time that I read it, I was just done. So even though I do want to reread the entire series, when the 6th ACOTAR book is announced, I would like to pick up A Court of Silver Flames again to just reread it and try and learn the plot a bit more because I remember that book the least. And having this, it's a 7-hour audiobook, it's a 230-page book. Having this just to be able to have a plot reminder is really nice because you don't have to read 3 books that are all like nearly 600 pages, if not more. I think it's like 400, 600, 700 or something like that, something ridiculous. You could just read 230 pages and get an entire summary, or obviously you can go online and watch summaries too. But point is, this is a nice option to have, which I really appreciate, and I'm not very far into it. I'm only on chapter 5, which is page 45. Not that you can see that because the camera flips everything, but I'm really not that far into it. It's just been cozy so far. I'm probably going to get through this relatively quickly, so I will be back once I finish this to give my final thoughts and review. And if it is a good Christmas book, I will let you guys know because I know this is a very popular series and a lot of people just love reading and rereading these books, so I will let you know if reading this at Christmas time feels like Christmas time. Hi, so I finished A Court of Frost and Starlight and it was good. It was a 3-star read for me. I am happy that I waited to read this novella at Christmas time because it definitely did feel very Christmassy, did start to put me in the Christmas mood. However, I don't think I would read it as a Christmas read again. If I were to reread the ACOTAR series, I would try to plan it out so that this book falls in the Christmas time frame. However, it was fine, you know? I do think the one thing that I didn't realize is I thought it was purely just a novella with maybe some plot set up for Silver Flames in terms of other characters' point of views and such. However, it was actually a lot more plot set up, so reading that I was like, oh, some of this would have been helpful during Silver Flames. However, for the most part, I was fine reading Silver Flames. I was fine with Frost and Starlight. It was a cute little read, and overall I'm still happy that I read it when I did and I waited. It was very fun being back in the ACOTAR world, so it was a fun read. And if you feel like reading A Court of Frost and Starlight as a Christmas read, I definitely do think it counts. You get the Christmas feelings without the whole cheesiness that most Christmas books have, but also, I don't know, when it comes to Christmas related things, like that cheesiness is like top tier. So yeah, but it was good. So on to the next read. The next book that I will be reading for Christmas is All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. I don't fully know what this is about. I just skimmed the blurb, and apparently it's about a singing competition in Nashville, and 2 characters, Sadie and Max, are paired up together for duet week, and that's all I know. I assume it's a Christmas read because it's called All I Want for Christmas. And according to the blurb, this is perfect for fans of of the Hating Game and then Inner Holidays. So it does seem to be like an enemies to lovers Christmas read, but I'm not entirely sure. I will brief you more once I finish the book, because as you should know by now, I do like going into my books fairly blind. Like, I either go in completely blind or knowing the entire book. So there's no middle for me. But I am excited. I only have one other book planned, and I think this might be the only rom-com-ish book that I read. Like I said, I didn't read the backs or the blurbs of anything. I just have like a little Christmas book list, and I just pick whatever is available at the time. That is what I will be reading next, and I'm kind of excited. This is going to sound really dumb, but the cover is a beautiful shade of green. It's one of my favorite shades of green, so that's just making me want to read it really badly. It's set in Nashville, apparently, so I'm interested to see how that's going to go, because as far as I'm aware, I don't think that Nashville gets really cold. I've never been to Tennessee, so I can't really say anything based on the weather, but I'm very used to Christmas books being very snowy, so if this isn't like that, I'm very curious to see how the Christmas vibes are going to be present, because obviously not everywhere it's winter when it's Christmas, and obviously there are a ton of places where it is winter during Christmas but it's not snowy, it's barely even cold. So I'm very interested to see how it gets the Christmas vibes without the actual classic Christmas element of snow, but I'm excited. So I will be back once I finish this book. Hi. So the last time you saw me, I told you I was starting All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. So naturally, you assume that I have now finished All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. But in fact, I have not, because I DNF'd it, which is not how I thought this video was going to go. I did not expect a DNF. But honestly, I knew this book was going to be a flop when within the first 3 chapters, the male main character Max's thought process about the female main character Sadie was that her eyelashes went over her eyebrows, meaning her eyelashes stopped. For me, it would be up here. Listen, I have seen some fake eyelashes. I have seen some lash extensions. I have never in my life seen eyelashes go over eyebrows. That was ridiculous. I forgot who the author was, and I literally had to go and look to see if a man wrote that, because that was such a man thing to say. So at that point I was already like, ugh, this is not gonna be good. And I was right. So listen, there is an audience for this book. It was not badly written, aside from that one point that I just talked about, which kind of ridiculous, but whatever, I won't like hyperfixate on it. I personally just couldn't get into the book because, one, first and foremost, Christmas book, no Christmas vibes. It more so just felt like a normal book, and some of it was in the winter, but really there were no Christmas vibes whatsoever. Which, how are you going to write a Christmas book with no Christmas vibes? Like, what is the point in that? What is the point in that? Anyway, I'm being a little mean because I am annoyed, but again, not a bad book, just not a book for me. The other thing that I really didn't like about this book was that obviously it's about 2 singers. Like I said, it takes place in a singing competition in Nashville, which, by the way, that competition is over like before the halfway point of this book, which shocked me because I thought it'd be a much larger part than it actually was. But I don't really like books with musical elements to them. I'm sure many readers can relate to what I'm saying when I say that singing and music does not translate well on paper because you can't hear it, and that's like the entire thing about music. It's not a trope that I necessarily avoid by any means. It is just something that I don't think works well and I tend not to enjoy that much, and this was also the case. There luckily wasn't too much singing, but it also just felt very tell not show. Like, you can't show someone singing with ink on paper. Like, you can't translate that in a way where you can really visualize it that well. So I don't want to blame the author for that, because I think that is just a problem with having singers in books. You can't translate that well no matter how you try, unless it's like Daisy Jones and the Six, where it gets popular and they actually have the songs written and then you can imagine the songs because you've heard them. But unless it's something like that, which is very, very rare, it's just not going to be as eloquent on the page as it would be in a show or a movie or a play. So it's unfortunate, but I don't blame the author for that at all. And again, I personally don't like that whole trope scenario, whatever you want to call it, in general, because it just feels very, oh, she's singing a song, here are the lyrics type of thing, you know? So I didn't enjoy that part. Not the author's fault, like I keep saying, but I personally didn't like that part. And then in general, like, the characters got together way too soon for my liking. I'm not going to tell you where I stopped because I don't want to give any spoilers, since I'm saying the characters got together way too soon and I stopped when they got together. But they got together way too soon, and it felt like one of those books where it's like, oh, there's going to be like a lot of like miscommunication or a really irrelevant third act breakup or something, and I wasn't in the mood for that. The entirety of this book, just quite frankly, is not my vibe, and that's okay. That really is okay. I just didn't feel like reading it anymore. That's it, really. So it was a DNF, and if you want to read it, if this sounds like something you would like, go ahead by all means, but it's not necessarily something that I would recommend, unless I know that this is specifically your taste. So yeah. So we are on to the final book of this video, and this Christmas book is called The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan. I haven't read the blurb myself yet. I'm about 14% into it. So instead of trying to explain what the book is about myself based on the few chapters that I've listened to, I'm just going to go ahead and read you the book blurb and make it easier for everyone. So I'm gonna be looking at my tablet so that I can read that to you. Laid off from her department store job, Carmen has perilously little cash and few options. The prospect of spending Christmas with her perfect sister Sophia in Sophia's perfect house with her perfect children and her perfect ordered yuppie life does not appeal. Frankly, Sophia doesn't exactly want her prickly sister Carmen there either. But Sophia has yet another baby on the way, a mother desperate to see her daughters get along, and a client who needs help revitalizing his shabby old bookshop. So Carmen moves in and takes the job. Thrown rather suddenly into the inner workings of Mr. Creddy's ancient bookshop on the picturesque street of historic Edinburgh, Carmen is intrigued despite herself. The store is dusty and disorganized, but undeniably charming. Can she breathe some new life into it in time for Christmas shopping? What will happen when a famous and charismatic author takes a sudden interest in the bookshop and Carmen? And will the Christmas spirit be enough to help her heal her fractured family? So this is definitely more of a lit fic vibe, which is fine. I kind of went into this expecting that. I do like the appeal of her and her sister, and in general I think this is going to be a very cozy Christmas book, but I also don't think that it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be Hallmark in a book. I think this is going to be much closer to one of those Christmas movies that people watch unironically. So I am excited, and it's also a series, so if I like this book, next year I can pick up book 2, which will be pretty exciting and fun. And in general, I don't know, I'm the most optimistic about this book, even more so than I was for ACOWAR, Frost and Starlight, which is kind of surprising. That being said though, I am about 14% into this book, and so far I don't know who I like and dislike, because I see both sides of the characters and their flaws are kind of pertinent as well, so it's hard for me to so far really have someone that I'm rooting for. In general, I think both sisters are kind of just annoying, so yeah, but that's okay because we're going to see, and I'm just excited to read this. So I'm gonna go ahead and obviously read it, and then I will get back to you once I finished it and let you know what I thought. So I'll see you when I see you. Hello. So I'm back and I finished the Christmas Bookshop. In general, I ended up liking this book a lot more than I thought I would. It was really heartwarming and the character progression was really nice to watch. In particular, I really enjoyed watching the main character bond with her sister a little bit and kind of watching that relationship progress, because at the beginning of the book they are not very close at all. So in general, it's just nice being able to see them kind of learn how to become friends, I guess you could say. There was a romance in this book, but I don't want to talk too much about it because there's not much that I can say without spoiling anything, so I'm not going to do that just in case someone wants to read this. In general, the romance was cute to watch, and then also just watching her work in the bookstore and help the old man revitalize his little shop was very sweet. The old man was a very cute little character. I really enjoyed him, and there is a sequel to this book, so I am going to pick it up next year, and I really hope that he is still in it and that she's still working for him, because I do think that they made a very cute little pair, and it was very heartwarming watching her help him revitalize his bookstore and kind of just like make him feel better about his situation. That being said, this book does have its fair share of annoying characters, one being named Skylar, who I did not like, and then the other is the author that is mentioned on the back of the book, who was kind of annoying. So it was tough to get through their point of views because this book switches point of views a ton. It's in third person, so it just switches like one paragraph, next paragraph. It was a bit difficult to keep up with since I listened to it, but it wasn't like that difficult. It just like took a second to register, if that makes sense. The other thing about this book too is that it is very, very cheesy. However, it's a Christmas book, so of course it's cheesy. Christmas show, movie, book, music, they're all cheesy. I don't think you can find one that isn't, so wasn't surprised and didn't bother me because I expect cheesiness when I go into Christmas books. So yeah, don't think I mentioned this, but I gave it 3.5 stars. It was pretty good. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, but it was also just an average read. I would recommend this book, definitely, even if it doesn't seem like your type of vibe, because usually when I go for Christmas books, they're usually rom-coms. So if this doesn't seem like your type of vibe, I would still recommend giving it a shot. It was a fun little book, and in general, it was just a very nice, lighthearted read. It's only like 330 pages or something, so very average length. It's not long at all, and the second book's even shorter. It was almost a novella length, so. But those were my Christmas reads. This year was interesting. I'm sad that one of them ended up being a DNF, but the other two were pretty good, and overall, they did what they were supposed to, which was nice. And yeah, if you are reading any Christmas books this year, let me know which ones you're reading and if you like them / would you recommend them. If you like me or my videos, I would really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.